Alright guys, here's the update. Nothing too impressive. How do I remove this panel? I could swear I'm a boomer sometimes. Okay, there. I literally went over it with my mouse. Last video I discussed the byteless texture tables and how I was going to do the indirection using an existing object that I had. Now I've just worked it out. It didn't take that long, but I did a workout, so anyway, here it is. It's really just the texture table that loads in the sampler 2D and the handle table which converts it. I do a pretty ugly detection if it has a texture associated with it or not, just to get it to work. And the same here, if it has a texture, it's just multiplied by the value of that texture. So you guys remember this was a red one, but now I'm rendering the icon of the application over it. In terms of the sheet here though, that does mean that we have completed render texture on quad. And implicitly is what it requires to render a sprite sheet in a font without abstraction. The thing I personally now want to do, which you may or may not disagree with, I would like to hear feedback obviously, is to copy paste the quad technique I use to render rectangles and only apply the texture logic there. The reason for this is because inside of the shader we are doing branching now to detect if something has a texture or not. And I would like to prevent this type of per fragment tree-like branching by removing the if statement. And the way I optimally would see that happening is if I just gave it another technique. And so then we clearly have a geometric quad shape technique, but we also have a quad technique or a quad inspired technique which would render a quad with a texture, which is what you would render text and or a sprite sheet with. I feel like this is the right moment to actually separate the two without overcomplicating it, because you clearly have a separate mechanism behind it, and obviously the sprite sheet is different from the font, and some of them may vary slightly in logic, so it makes more sense to me. But it does at the overhead of maintaining it, so this is something that's up for debate. Alright, so as per my documentation, this is the Tuesday, December the 16th. This is supposed to have been done. Today is the 17th, but I registered it as this one as successful about 4 minutes ago, and this one I just kind of made up because I was roughly done at like 2 after making a couple videos and doing some other things. So yeah, it does say that time is exceeded, which means I spent about 17 hours. It took me 17 hours longer than I ideally would have liked. And I'm keeping this in here because I didn't actually start working on it yesterday, which is the reason it took so long. I put this in here though, just as illustration that it's useful to keep yourself accountable, because there's no excuse for me not having done it yesterday, but I just didn't, and there you go, it's in the sheet. And so the only thing I'm not going to do is the starting registration of these features, because you are going to obsessively monitor yourself. Oh, I added that yesterday and it took me this long. It's like, it doesn't really matter. We want roughly some features to be done at some point, so these ones are supposed to be done today, which is just an abstraction over the texture rendering that I just completed. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do it today, considering that tomorrow I have to actually go to work. So, but we're going to see. Technically nothing is stopping me, and I would like to get the borderless window to be completed by Sunday. And when I say borderless window completed, I just mean the Figma sketch with the associated buttons, but as you may guess, that requires extra features to be completed. And so I find this very useful because as you're working on this, you can also just change the target dates based on all the other stuff that you did not foresee directly as you were writing it down. Anyway, here's an overview of what it looks like. Now, obviously, I might actually cheat and put this on Wednesday today. But, you know, it's all so personal, right? You don't have to show this to people. You don't have to prove anything to people. It's all for yourself. And so if you decide to cheat or change the schedule, I mean, who cares?